Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, Mr. Favre, I'm going to thank you for coming. Unlike my colleague, I'm not mad at you about much, but I am mad that you couldn't stay with the Atlanta Falcons. It would kind of what could have been, but beyond that, I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you coming knowing that you were going to get asked some tough questions, because I know you're trying your best to make sure this doesn't happen elsewhere, right? And so thank you for stepping up and doing that. And do you think, based off of your knowledge and what happened in Mississippi, if Congress doesn't act, this may happen in other places?
Well, quite frankly, I think if nothing's done, it will happen in other places, and does happen. So first and foremost, something needs to be done to make sure people get it that need it.
Thank you. A lot of conversation today on lifting people out of poverty. It's been my experience in growing up in West Point, Georgia. We saw the effects of what happened when you lose tens of thousands of jobs, primarily as a result of decisions that are made by this place. We lost about 35,000 textile jobs in our area following NAFTA. And in the following years, we watched a lot of people fall into poverty, and they get trapped in a cycle of poverty because they don't have access to the jobs that they once did. And it's pretty painful to watch your friends and family, lose what they had. I think the right thing to do to help our most vulnerable is to do just that. It's to help them. Make sure that they got some resources so they've got a chance to get through the bind that they find themselves in when they don't have access to a good paying job, whether they lost that job or whether they're looking for their first job. But, Mr. Underhill, I really appreciate your story, and it reminds me of a lot of folks back home that just really had to fight and scrap to get over that hump. But I think you're right in that if you don't have a job, you're never going to get over that hump. You're going to keep running into that same hump. And could you talk just a little bit, not just about, getting over that hump, but, some of the barriers that a lot of people in poverty face trying to get from point A to point B, whether it's education, whether it's the financial cliffs that occur when you start making money, your safety net just goes away altogether. Do you think it'd be more advantageous to have a safety net system that gradually went down as individual found success in the workplace?
I think that would be extremely beneficial. Like you said, when you do get gainful employment, your benefits or welfare or whatever you got coming stops. And you may not be over that hump yet. And if you don't have, like you said, a little bit of a safety net that would help you get over that hump, that way when you're on the other side, you've gained the knowledge and experience to proceed without it.
Yeah, it's just, I think people get trapped in cycles of poverty. Not because they're not trying to get out, but if you get a job and you're making $15 an hour and then all of a sudden your benefits are cut all the way back, you're losing money, right? So you gotta have some sort of tapered program. And let me say this about jobs. Rural Mississippi, Mr. Dortch, I think y'all talking about how there are just some counties where there just aren't jobs, right? And listen, being from Georgia, we got some counties like that as well. And a job 25 miles away might as well be 150 miles away if you can't get there. But I think we've got, one of the reasons I think it's so important we're talking about this with job creation is to think about what happens in the coming years, doing everything that we can to make America the most competitive place in the world to do business and grow jobs. America works when Americans are working. And we've got to be creating jobs in all of our counties, and some of those may not be traditional manufacturing jobs. They may be technology jobs that really, quite candidly, give people access to a digital economy and a great way to make a living that they currently don't have. So I recognize the challenge in a rural county. You know, when you're poor in a rural county, you're not black, white, Hispanic, you're just poor in a rural county. And you need a little help to get over that hump, and we need to be growing this economy at an exponential rate to help our fellow Americans. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.